Welcome back to NSK TV and welcome back to another Entertainer Spotlight. Today, I have the living legend himself joining me, the one and only Mr. Peter Mallet. Pete, how you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you doing yourself?
Great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You've been with Nonstop Kids from very early on, very, very early on, haven't you? You've been with us now for years. 4 years, it must be, if not longer.
I think it's 5. I was working it out the other day. I think it's 5 years this September.
I was going through some old photos on my phone the other day, and I found the photos that I took from you on your sort of sign-off party when you went to that school in Birmingham, and you were doing a show at the school in Birmingham. I found all of the photos on my device. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Pete. Gosh, these are old photos.
You have to send me some later on.
Absolutely, of course I will. But yeah, you've been here a long time, and what's so funny about you, and we'll get into this, is you come and go. Like, you know, you'll be with us for a while, then you'll wander off and do something else for a few months, then you'll come back, then you'll disappear and do something else for a few months, and then you come back. You're like the wandering hobo of Nonstop Kids entertainment.
Definitely, I'm like Doc Cotton from EastEnders.
You really are. And I think it's important that anybody that watches this understands that Pete is amazing. Like, you are the consummate professional. You put 100% in every single time. Everybody loves you. You always get good feedback. And if you always go above and beyond to make sure that the child that you're entertaining and their friends has an amazing party. Your work ethic and your ability and everything about you, you're the total package, Pete. You're amazing. You really are.
Well, what can I say?
But let's talk about you, because I don't want this to be all about Nonstop Kids. You've been involved in performing on and off pretty much your whole life, haven't you? Or a large part of your life you've been involved in performing. When did you kind of get the bug? When was it that you decided you were interested in performing?
Well, even when I was little, I remember each Christmas my family came around to my parents' house for Christmas. And we always used to put on a little show for my family. So me and my mum and my auntie always used to do a little play for everyone each Christmas. I mean, me and my mum and auntie enjoyed it, whether everyone else did, who knows. But we used to do that. And then when I was in my teenagers, I joined a few amateur companies. We did a few different pantomimes and shows. So, I mean, pretty much throughout my whole entire life, I've always been a bit of a showman. I used to enter the talent shows at the school. Even though I didn't really have much talent, I used to just do whatever. It was songs, and I can't sing. I used to just go for it. So I suppose pretty much all my life.
That's amazing. And when you what did you go straight from school into entertainment?
No. So when I finished school, I went to uni and I did psychology, and had every intention of becoming a child psychologist after finishing university. Right. But then one day during dissertation, I was getting a bit bored, so I applied to work on Disney cruise ship, and then forgot all about it. About 4 months later, got a phone call saying come for an interview, and pretty much from there on, I didn't become a child psychologist.
That was when your entertainment journey really began, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
So being on a Disney cruise liner, was that like the first thing that you did? I mean, we'll talk about all the different things that you've done, but was being on Disney one of the first things that you did, kind of the big things?
Yeah, in terms of like professional, like getting paid for something, Disney Cruise Line was the first thing.
Okay, and tell me what that was like, because I know. Just so you know, by the way, a lot of people that listen to this this program, they're people that maybe want to break into entertainment, and they want to be performers, or it's parents of kids that want to be performers. How did you find, because it's the holy grail for a lot of entertainers, isn't it, working on a cruise ship? And that was the very first thing that you did, and a lot of people, that's their bucket list goal. That's like, oh my gosh, I really want to do this. So how did you find that? What was the experience like?
I definitely agree with that. It's definitely what people want to do, that people I spoke to later on. So I'd say I started off in a cruise and then went to somewhere else. People I went somewhere else to, then it's gone to a cruise. So definitely a cruise is that kind of one. It was fun. Hard work. So nowadays, if I'm doing a 7-day week, I think, to work in 7 days. Or if I've worked more than 8 hours a day, I think, I've worked more than 8 hours today. But on a cruise ship, if you worked 8 hours, that was like a day off. It was like a break. So it was hard work, but it was great fun. You're such a family. And even though I only was there for like 5 months. Everyone I met on that cruise, I still can contact now and still feel like we're best friends, because for those 5 months, that becomes your life, becomes your work, your life, everything. So everything's just on that ship. You forget about anything from the outside world. That ship becomes your life for those months. But I must admit, throughout my whole like past 10 years since finishing, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, I want to do one more season, just to say I've been on a cruise ship once, at the very start of it. I want to go back to it, and something that's always on my mind that one day I think I do want to go back on a cruise at least once.
Oh, they are super fun. I mean, as you know, I've never been on a cruise, but I have been like a visiting cabaret act on cruise liner. So I have like been on there for like a week at a time, or 2 weeks at a time, and it is quite intense. Even when you're just a visiting cabaret act, it's still really intense. So I can only imagine what you had to deal with.
Definitely. No, so it was long hours, long days, but definitely worth it, and lots of good memories.
What were you doing on there?
So I worked in the children's club. So we was called the Disney Oceaneers Club, and it was working with children aged between about, my age group was I think 4 to 8 year olds. And so we did different games. We had like interactive floorboard where we played different games when on there. We had different rooms. So we had like the Monsters Inc. room, where there's all like things related to Monsters Inc. film. We had Pixie Hollow, which is related to Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. And Tinkerbell used to come on. We used to have a Tinkerbell talent show, and Tinkerbell was used to get me up to like do some hula hooping at the start of that show. Then we had the Andy's room, where you had toy soldiers come on. We used to do like some army dances with them, and we used to like have a big Rex climbing frame. And then say different crafts, and we had like a chef guy come, and we used to have to make some food. So it was lots of different activities going on. It was never a dull moment.
That's amazing. That's really fun. So you did that for 5 months, and then what did you do after that?
So after that, I worked at a theatre. So I'm still at the theatre now. Obviously, current situation with theatres, who knows? But so I worked at the theatre's front of house, so serving the ice creams, getting a ticket, and pretty much getting paid to watch shows, which was very good.
Fun, yeah. And that was the Hippodrome. That is the Hippodrome, isn't it? Is it the Hippodrome?
Birmingham Hippodrome, yeah.
Which is such a prestigious theatre. So I bet you've seen a lot there. I bet you've seen a lot going on over the years there.
Ah, definitely. And I must admit, the best thing is going to parties with all the celebrities, almost feeling like you're one of the celebrities.
Oh, wow.
One time I got a New Year's Eve, I had a New Year's Eve party, Gok One and John Partridge from EastEnders. So that was a good New Year's Eve.
That's amazing.
I mean, I could tell you some many stories about some celebrities, but I better not.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And that's
one of my favourite.
Go on, yeah.
So I said one of my favourite times.
A little bit, but I've got you back now. Sorry, mate.
One of my favourite times is each year we do a thing called Cod Pantomime, which is called Crew on Display. But basically, a lot of members of the staff at Hippodrome, they perform a pantomime based on a pantomime that's on that year in front of the celebrities. So this one year I got to play the comedy character. So I played Paul Zerdin's part. And at the end, I got like the kids on stage. I got Jay McDonald, Paul Zerdin, guy who plays Peter Barlow on stage. And I got a kiss from Jay McDonald on stage. So that was one of my favourite memories of the Hippodrome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Every time I watch Cruising with Jay now, I was like, I know her, she talked to me and everything.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So, and you've been there on and off for years, but when was the next, obviously you disappear and go abroad an awful lot. So when was the next thing that you did? Was it Pontins?
No, Cadbury World.
Cadbury World, okay. So and you were doing character work there, weren't you?
Yep. So when I've been at Cab, like a lot of things I do on and off. The first one was at Cadbury World. I opened up a new 4D cinema, and we was basically keepers of the cinema. So my name was Cecil Whisper, and people come in this lift going down there. So we used to do like a little entertainment in the lift, and then it went into like the waiting area. We used to do like game shows with them, like a bit like the Generation game. Had to look at a conveyor belt and see what items was missing, and play different games. And then we went into the main auditorium where the film was on. But me and my friend, we used to make up different like songs for everybody, and used to scare like people and hide on people and play tricks on everyone to make it fun and entertaining. as possible.
That's very cool. And you went back there as an actual performer with Nonstop Kids, didn't you, as well, which was funny.
Yes, definitely. It's like full circle.
That's so funny. So you did Cadbury World, and then where after Cadbury World? What did you do after that?
Actually, going back to Cadbury World, so first time around, I dressed as a parrot, and I don't suppose I shouldn't really say this, but I was in a TV commercial for Cadbury World as the Mr. Cadbury's parrot.
No way!
I mean, no one will ever know that unless I tell you, which now everyone will. But you can't see it to me. But yeah, I am Mr. Parrot in the old Cadbury World commercial.
Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. That's brilliant.
And then after Cadbury World, going back to your question, Nonstop Kids came after Cadbury World.
Okay. And you kind of joined us, and you kind of use us a little bit like the theatre that you work with, which is when you're in the UK, you're with us and you make yourself available. But then when you're traveling and you're out and about and you got other things going on, you don't, which is absolutely cool. So yeah, and obviously regarding Nonstop Kids, you've been with us for a long time, and like I said before, you're absolutely amazing. You know, we love you to bits, and we're so glad that you've been with us for all these years. So where did Pontins come in? Because I know you work for Pontins. When did that happen?
So I've always wanted to work for Pontins, actually. So I saw like an advertisement come up on Facebook, I think it was. So I applied for it in the January time, and I got the job in the April time. So over at Pontins Prestatyn. I mean, I've been at Prestatyn and Canberra Sands.
And how did you find that? I mean, because I was a Redcoat. So I was a Redcoat at Butlins, and there was a bit of a rivalry between the Redcoats and the Bluecoats.
Definitely, yes.
There's always that, you know, Pontins and Butlins. Oh my gosh,
still hasn't gone.
Yeah, I bet it hasn't. But I mean, I've only been to Pontins once. I wasn't particularly impressed with the actual quality of the accommodation, but the thing that I really loved was the entertainment. You know, it was top notch. It was second to none. But I mean, I'm guessing, you tell me, that you probably worked as hard there as you did on the cruise liner, because if it's anything like being a Redcoat, it's just full on 24/7. Pretty
much, from like 9 o'clock in the morning till sometimes 1, 2 in the morning. Okay, you get breaks throughout the day, but it's still full on all day work. But it was really fun, and it's hard work. It is, and the problem is, a lot of people join it when they're younger. I joined it when I was 27. So all these like 18-year-olds got all this stamina, and I'm thinking, oh, I just need my afternoon nap now. I just need to go to sleep. But I try to still party hard with the younger ones.
And what can you tell us a funny story from Pontins? Because I know there's going to be about 1 million. I don't know if you can share all of them, but there's got to be at least one funny story that you can share.
Just wondering which one I can actually say. Let's just say one day, Chuckles the monkey was coming from backstage, and Chuckles the monkey didn't really feel comfortable in his shoes, and Chuckles the monkey fell over, and Chuckles the monkey nearly lost his head. So he had to quickly go backstage again, like holding on his head as he went back. Oh my
gosh. Because, I mean, you know as well as me, for a park, for those that don't know that are watching this, their characters, they are so protective of those costumes. I remember being at a holiday park once as a visiting cabaret act, and there was a band there that had never worked a holiday park before, and it was a park dean, the ones that have like Sparky and Sparkles, the rabbits.
Yes.
And the band came out, and the drummer had Sparky's head on it. And I saw this from the wings, and I was like, oh my gosh, they are never going to go on the holiday park circuit again. That what they've just done. It's the worst thing you can possibly do at all, ever.
100%.
Yeah, it's okay. So you've done Pontins. Now you've also been abroad, haven't you, a few times?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I worked over in Ibiza in a hotel, but not in the party side. I worked in like the quiet side of the island. Mm-hmm. And so I worked in a hotel as a animation team. They call them over there. It's basically entertainment team. So in the daytimes, we did like competitions like French pool, snooker, table tennis, water polo, cocktail games. And in the evening, I hosted like the bingo most of the nights. And then we did like some dance shows. and I'm a terrible dancer. But because everyone in there has to get stuck in everything, I was part of the dance shows, which meant many hours of rehearsals in a hot room downstairs, practicing, just me and the entertainment manager, trying to get some sort of dance show out of me. But no, I loved the experience. It was brilliant.
Was it good? And you didn't you do another place as well? You went to another place as well, didn't you?
So yep, I worked over in Montenegro as a holiday rep, and hats off to holiday reps. It's one of the hardest jobs ever, and if that experience taught me anything, I'm not a holiday rep. I like people to like me, and people like the entertainers. People don't necessarily like the holiday reps.
Really? How come?
I think it's because the entertainers are there to entertain people and all the good side, whereas the holiday reps have to deal with any problems and any complaints. And so the two sides of entertainment, same in like, say, holiday parties, you've got the reception staff and the team who deal with all the complaints, concerns, and the entertainment team who are there to say, oh, don't worry about that, we'll look after you, we'll have fun. And I'm more of that fun person than the one having to deal with all the complaints or problems.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't sound fun.
No.
But
at the same time, you get to be outside in the sun, working on your suntan.
Well, yeah, so it's not all bad then.
Definitely not.
And then obviously, you know, you're back now. You're working for Nonstop Kids. You're still working for the theatre. I know you're doing a lot of work with charities, going into schools and doing receptions and things like that. That must be really rewarding as well, right?
Oh no, definitely, 100%. And say working with children and working with teenagers, say something so rewarding. But especially I've been like in schools, like lessons sometimes, and just seeing them learn and seeing them actually think, oh, I can do this now. When I had no confidence before, it gives that nice buzz to try and give something back to people.
I can imagine. And here's a question for you: with what you've done a lot. Like some people say, oh, they want to get into entertainment, and you know they achieve something, but nowhere near as much as what you've achieved. Is there anything left on the bucket list? Is there something that you want to do that you haven't done that you'd like to do?
Yes. A few years ago, I appeared on a reality TV show, but my thing I really want to do one day is get into TV, not as a contestant in a reality show, but as the actual presenter or an actor or something in TV. So TV is something I want to crack, even if it's just one show, one episode or something. TV is something I want to crack into.
And you know what? Knowing you and how driven and determined you are, if anybody can pull that off, you can. But I'm not going to let the whole I've appeared in a reality show drop. I'm sorry. No, that's not going to happen. Are we talking about Take Me Out?
We are indeed. So I've been in it twice.
No likey.
No, I like it. Well, luckily, the first time it was, I liked it, at least in the studio episode anyway.
So tell us about that experience, why you decided to go on it, what it was like being on the show. You know, just tell us everything about it, because a lot of people are obviously interested. It's a very popular show. Is it still running?
No, unfortunately, it finished back in January. It was the last ever season, which I think it lasted 11 seasons over 10 years, or vice versa.
It was very popular. It was very popular. So tell us about the experience then. Yeah,
okay. So about a year before I did Take Me Out, my friend worked in the production team, and he said, oh, Peter, we need an extra person to Take Me Out. Do you want to do it? But at the time, I had a girlfriend, and I thought I better not do that. But then later on, we split up, and I saw it advertised, and I thought, you know what? I might apply for this. So I did. And at the time, I said I worked for Cadbury World, and I think Take Me Out loved the fact I worked in chocolate and everything. So they got me to do it, and I went in, and sometimes people do like a talent and a family one video, and then people have two different videos. And I was hoping to have two different videos, but no, because I worked at Cadbury World, they wanted me to dress as Willy Wonka and sing Oompa Loompa on television, which if it was a different show, I can't sing or dance, but whatever, I'll do it. But on a dating show, dressed as Willy Wonka with two Oompa Loompas who wasn't that much smaller than me, wasn't really the most attractive and sexy thing in the world. But amazingly, I managed to get a date. So I had to go around with a cane, and I got to choose people. I had to go around with my cane and turn off the lights to people. And then we went to Fernando's, and other people, they get to do brilliant jet skiing. They get to do wine tasting. They get to do some like quad biking. No, I did morning yoga. But I got to see how non-flexible I was on national television. So there's one bit where I say, oh yeah, I do like yoga quite a lot at home. I'm really flexible. And then the next thing, a camera's focusing on me trying to lift my leg up, and I can't do it.
Oh,
So
that's so funny.
But no, I mean, it was one of the best experiences ever. And people used to come to Cadbury after and like say, "Oh, it's Peter from Take Me Out here." And I'm not even kidding. Well, no matter what position I was on, people get trying to come to me. "Oh, Peter, so can I have my picture next to you?" And at the time at Cadbury, I was like dressed as a pirate sometimes, or dressed as a Georgian or Victorian. And I say people used to come and have pictures with me. So I must admit, I like that bit. Even one time, I was walking on town, and there was this lad with his hood up, looking a little bit rough. And he comes up to me and goes, "You was on Take Me Out, wasn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Oh, was it any good? I really want to do it." I was like, brilliant. Honestly thought he was like going to come and cause trouble with his like guy in a hood. And he said, "No, mate, you was on Take Me Out." And it's like, brilliant. And one day I was even in Ibiza walking along the promenade, and then someone said, "Oh, you was on Take Me Out." So he made me my 15 minutes of fame as I go around places.
That's awesome. And did they tell you that they wanted you to dress as Willy Wonka, or was that your idea?
No, completely them. I wanted to come out and just give a chocolate plaque, but no, they wanted me to dress as Willy Wonka and
is
sing.
that video anywhere so that people can check it out, because it is hilarious?
I don't know if it's still available, but one of the Oompa Loompas is a guy called Hank, and on YouTube he had one called Hank Take Me Out, and that just shows a little 30-second clip of me doing a Willy Wonka. So I don't know if it's still on YouTube because I've got all the episodes downloaded, but it might be.
Oh, that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Okay, well, here's a question for you. You know, everything that you've done, what advice would you give somebody who's wanting to break into entertainment? They want to be an entertainer, you know, because have got a lot of people. They're young, maybe 18, 19. They want to get into entertainment. They don't really know what to do. You've been there, done that, bought the T-shirt literally over and over again. What advice would you give them?
Just keep trying. Never give up. If you want to do it, learn, improve. Confidence gets better over time as well. And just don't give up. If you want to do it, try it, because you only regret it if you don't. And anyone can do it. All it takes is a little bit of spot. Anyone can do it. I don't mean that as in it's. What I mean is if everyone puts effort and perseverance in it, you can achieve it. And you might not be a natural talking or speaking, but I'm really, as hard as it sounds, I'm quite shy backstage, so anyone can put perseverance in and try the hardest to do it. So just keep trying and don't let anyone knock you down.
That is really great advice. And what about a parent who's got a younger child? They've got a kid who's interested in performing. Obviously, you're interested in performing from a very young age. How would a parent nurture that interest without turning them on? Because you kind of want to be in a situation where you're encouraging it, but you're not kind of forcing it down their throat, don't you?
Yeah, see, my parents took me to drama school when I was little, but I didn't want to do it in the end. I went there and I didn't like it, so they didn't force me to do it. So take them to these places, see if they want to do it. If they do, brilliant. If they don't force them to do it, because then they'll just end up resenting it. So like I said, my parents took me. I didn't want to do it, but still, 20 years later, here I am. So don't force them to do anything they don't want to do at a young age, because they'll just end up not wanting to do it. But if they do want to do it, even if they don't want to do it then, later on, they will still get a way to do it.
That's great. It's great advice. Absolutely brilliant. Pete, you have been awesome. I always knew, when I saw your name come up on the list of people I was interviewing, I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing, because Peter's done so much. And I'm right, you have, and you are brilliant. What I want to do now is I want to do this quick fire round. Basically, what we're doing with all of our entertainers that come on this is we're doing a quick fire round. So we're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions as quickly as I can. You have 3.5 minutes to answer as many questions as quickly as you can. What's your record? Well, that's the thing. We've got a leaderboard. I can't remember how many questions he answered, but the winner at the moment is David Burgess from over in Liverpool. And I think one of the reasons is he's a Scouser, so he can speak like everyone. Yeah, but we are going to. This is your opportunity to bring it back to Team Midlands.
Let's do it.
I know you can do it. I know you can do it. So I've got my timer ready. Are you ready, my friend?
Hang on. Yeah, bring it on.
Brilliant. Right. And it starts now. If you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
Pizza.
What colour is your toothbrush?
Yellow.
If you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why?
An owl, because they're wise and can fly.
Love it. What's your favourite superhero and why?
Superman, because he can fly.
Perfect. Who do you admire the most?
My parents.
Love it. What's your favourite summer activity?
Sitting on the beach and sunbathing.
If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be and who would play you?
Romantic comedy, but like one of the bad ones. And Shawnee and Scott.
if you could be any flavour ice cream, what ice cream flavour would you be and why?
Cookie dough.
Cookie dough. Love cookie dough. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Disney World, if it was safe.
Perfect. Are you a morning or a night person?
Night.
What's your favourite hobby?
Sleeping.
What's the one thing that annoys you the most?
Queues and waiting for stuff.
What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
For an egg, an old egg.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Short, sometimes funny. Ginger.
Nice. If you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
With Prince, what's his name? With Queen's husband, because like we love richest man in England.
Makes sense, absolutely. What's the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning?
Go back to sleep for 5 minutes.
What's your favourite Halloween costume?
Oompa Loompa.
If you could buy yourself anything right now, what would you get?
A swimming pool.
Where would you go if you were invisible?
The correct answer would be, the swimming pool. My local gym swimming pool, because I don't see me, I can go swimming.
I love it. If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have?
Flying and invisible combined.
Whoa, okay, cool, love that. What's your favourite TV channel?
ITV.
What's the thing you're most afraid of?
Fear.
What celebrity annoys you the most?
Stacey Solomon.
If you could buy yourself a boat right now, what would you call it?
Pippa.
What's your lifelong dream?
To become a movie director and screenwriter.
If you could talk to the Prime Minister, what would you talk about?
Not Corona. Nor Brexit.
If you could be a part of any TV sitcom lineup, who would you want to be? Huh?
In Friends.
It's got to be Friends, hasn't it? Name one advantage to being short.
You don't hit your head when you go in rooms.
If you could only eat in one restaurant for the rest of your life, what restaurant would it be?
Despite being a vegetarian, Nando's.
Love it. If you had your own country, if you could create your own country, what would you call it?
Peter Island.
What was your favourite book growing up?
Harry Potter.
I don't blame you. Absolutely. What's your favourite pet's name? That's a weird one.
Charlie.
Charlie. What fashion trend do you just not get?
I'm not really into any fashion trends.
And last one. If your best friend, have you got any tattoos?
No. Scared of needles.
If you're forced to get a tattoo and your best friend picked the tattoo for you, what do you think they would pick?
A hammer.
A hammer. Okay, fair enough. That'd be an interesting tattoo. Awesome. That was amazing, mate. I think you might be in first place. I think you even beat David there. I think that was brilliant. We will let you know, but I'm pretty sure that that is first place. I think you brought it back to Team Midlands. That was brilliant. Now, I've got one last thing to ask you. Oh, well, two last things, actually, but one last one quickly, which is I need you to do an impression. I want you to do an impression. Okay. We get everyone to do an impression. Like I said to you before we started rolling, however bad your impression is, it's not going to be as bad as Kieran attempting to do Donald Trump, which will go down in the entire history of the internet as the worst thing that anybody has ever seen ever. But what you got?
Right, this is a really bad impression of Will Mackenzie doing an impression of Yoda. Face me on you are. That'll do.
Oh my God.
That's only better in my head.
That was funny. No, I thought that was brilliant. That was so funny. Oh my gosh. Pete, you're amazing. Let's wrap this up with one last thing, which is, and we'll wrap it up with you. If you could give, we're going to have probably about 3,000 or 4,000 people watching this. If you could give everybody watching this one piece of advice, it doesn't have to be about entertainment or Nonstop Kids or anything, just one piece of life advice based on your years on the planet. What advice would you give everyone?
That is a good question. What advice? Make the most of every moment of every second, because that's all you get. So just make the most of everything and enjoy everything. And if something doesn't make you happy, change it.
I love that. And I completely agree with you. I think that's great. I think that is absolutely brilliant. Pete, it has been a real honour having you on this show. You are amazing. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about you, not just as a performer, but over the last few years, I've got to meet you and know you. I consider you a friend, and I think that you are a great guy. I really do. And I know that whatever it is that you want to achieve, you're going to manage it, because you're that driven. You really are. You're an amazing guy. Thank you so much for coming on the program. You're brilliant. Don't forget, guys, you can subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook. We put videos up every single day, and we go live at 1 o'clock. Peter's done a lot of the lives at 1 o'clock on Facebook. So if you want to check that out. In fact, I love the one the other day where you're reading the 101 Dalmatians. That was brilliant. One of my favorite books. So make sure you check out our Facebook page. We go live 1 o'clock every day. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll be back again in a little bit later. But Pete, thank you so much, and you were brilliant, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.